going to go ahead and go back into the code and actually edit it to where we have our code set for a push button switch instead of a basically this is a toggle switch where you flick it on and it stays on the whole time until you flick it off. So we're gonna get it set up for a momentary switch instead. And usually push button switches are about 1 second worth of a push, so you don't have to keep it on the whole time. You don't have to hold down for so many seconds. I would just say for 1 second should suffice. So we're gonna definitely get into that. Okay, so now that we're done getting our coding for just to get the system to work, now we're gonna have to tweak our coding like I mentioned a second ago. So we're gonna go back down. So when we start back at our code here, I left the make sure you did leave the Arduino sketch up, because like I said, we were going to go back later, so hopefully you did. And you can always pull it back up. It should have already automatically saved any changes or anything like that. But you're going to go back into it and go down to your first relay here, and then you're going to hit enter. You're going to go to the end there and hit enter. Then you're going to put a delay. So you'll type in D my mistake, here we go. You're going to type in delay, D-E-L-A-Y, and basically you're going to want to set up for a push button, and what I'll do is just get you the code here. So let's see, delay. So you want a delay. So basically it's going to be like that LED blink you can do with Arduino. If you don't already know about Arduino, there's actually a code that's for LEDs that lets you set a code for your Arduino boards to flicker a LED on and off multiple times. And so you're gonna go and just type in Arduino, and you see I have a whole bunch of different things that I look up for Arduino here. Arduino delay sorry about all the misspelling here. Delay for LED control, and that's fine. We could do it for that, because basically it's the same thing. If it's an output, it's going to blink. If it's a output for your relay, it's going to flicker on and off. Anyway, you'll see that it says delay, pauses the program for the amount of time in milliseconds, and then specifies parameter. There are 1000 milliseconds and 1 second. So you'll put delay ms, and then parameters, the number of seconds to pause, unassigned long, like basically how long, then returns, and it says nothing. So right here you could copy this. This is basically what we're doing. You're writing low on our sketch here. This is the exact thing that you're going to want to look at. So you're writing low on our sketch over here. That's the first sign. So you're going to leave that alone. You're going to put a delay, and let's say for 1 second. So you see delay over here in the corner, and then it's in its own block here. It says 1000, that's milliseconds, equals 1 second. So you'll put inside your parentheses here, I mean your block there, I'm sorry. Let's see, add this. I'll put 100, 1 second, there we go. And you could backspace, make sure it's close enough. And then, so right now we put a delay on the turn on. So now we're going to press enter, and then you'll put digital write low, or you could high, my mistake. You could copy and paste this whole block here. So copy, highlight it all, copy it, paste it right here, and then you're going high. So it's on and then it went off. And that was for 1 second there. And it should be instantaneous for the most part. You could put a delay for, I think it's for on and off in between there. So when it turns on, it gives a delay for a second, and then when it turns off, it gives a delay for a second. So we'll just try this. I'm not 100% sure. I forgot exactly how it works. I have to test it out with you guys to remember. So this is a learning experience for both of us right now. Do apologize about that. But anyway, with that being said though, the node is still connected to your COM port, and it's still connected to your serial port and basically to your computer. So all you have to do now that you did that is just hit upload, because you already know the sketch works when you verified it the last time, and every time you upload it's going to have to complement the sketch and verify everything anyway. So now you're going to just go ahead and hit enter. Upload, my mistake. And it'll take a second for it to upload here. And once it's done, it'll start flashing again. You'll see the flash on your Node MCU here. And since Alexa already knows your relay board switch, you don't have to re-find it. It's already built in. So basically what I'm saying is, when we told her to find, discover our devices and everything, she already went and looked for them, so they're already discovered. You don't have to rediscover them if you don't want to. You're just changing the code on the device itself. You don't have to rediscover the device. So I don't know if everybody knows that, but you can just get that done. Anyway, it finished uploading here, and now let's go ahead and test that out. So give me 1 second while I get that done for you. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and test this out. So what we're going to say is, Alexa, turn on relay 1.
Okay.
And there you have it. It turned on for a second and turned off for a second. And we could do it one more time so you guys could see. It turned on and then turned off. So now we just say it again. Alexa, turn on relay 1. And there you have it.
Okay.
So it turned on and turned off for a second. And that would indicate a push of a button. So now that we have that set up, that's just one button, and that's all you need for your camera basically, because all it is one push of a button. So now you have basically wireless anywhere voice activated for your button pushing, and you have up to 3 other ones that haven't even been assigned yet, because that's just one relay. You still have 2, 3, and 4. So you can change it however you want to. I plan on doing a lot with this in the nearby future, and I will be making another video on what I'm talking about with this system that I'm working with at the moment. So definitely be looking into that. Right now I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how I am going to set up the button and how we're going to solder everything and get set up for that. So let's go ahead and jump into that part of this video. Alright guys, we're gonna go ahead and get into it now. I know I didn't put this for what we're going to be using. I didn't think about it, but you will need, I would suggest you get yourself a good pair of wire cutters, because you're going to need wire to wire up the relay to your push button switch. So this is some old wire that I just had lying around, so I'm just going to clean it up a little bit here and get that set up for our relay. There we go. So I cut off the two ends here and stripped them back so that way I have some clean, fresh wire here. It wasn't looking all messed up and decoded. And now I got two perfectly good ends, and you're going to use a small screwdriver with a Phillips head, or you can use a small screwdriver with a flat head. It depends on however you want to go about it. And since this is relay 1 up top, because basically your lights on your board here will indicate what relay is to what. So if I say, Alexa, turn on relay 1. Alexa, turn on relay 1. You see that this was the one that turned on because it's going down the line here. So you're going to open up your relay board, the actual pins here, so that way you can actually get the closed loop that you're looking for. And we're going to open up a controller here. This is a wireless controller. I wanted to use wireless. I didn't want to use the wired. You can use wired if you want to. It should work on both of them. This is wireless. You don't have to mess with the wireless part itself here. It's actually just a receiver, so you don't have to worry about that. This whole part you're gonna keep, and then you don't have to worry about messing with it at all. You just have to open up your transceiver. So what you're gonna do, I'm gonna take the battery out of here. It did come with its own battery. I'm gonna take this out and the cover off. And I'm using this is a receiver for a Lumix G7, Panasonic Lumix G7, and it's a great camera. A lot of people use it, so I would recommend you guys trying this out if you have this type of camera. I got this off of eBay for like 20 bucks, and it has a screw right here that I'm going to take off using my screwdriver right now. Hopefully that's all I would need. If I don't, if I need something else to help get to the mother, basically the main board, the board itself that has the button soldered to it, I will actually have to probably cut into it. If I can't pry it open with a flathead screwdriver, I'll have to cut into it using that Dremel tool with the disc cutter on it. And see, this is exactly why I have long fingernails, for these small screws like this on my projects. See, I'm able to actually just lift it straight out of there. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here so you guys can see a little better. And so now that we have the screw out of there, that should have been the only one holding this. And I'm going to use a flathead screwdriver to kind of pry it open here. Just go against the shell casing and just slightly pry it open. That's all you really need to do. You see it's already kind of opening all the way up. It's just kind of still hold it. Oh, okay, I see why. There's actually another button underneath this piece of plastic. There's some kind of sticker underneath here. I'm just going to push my nail against it to kind of get it off of there, and there you go. There's another screw right there. Let's take that off. This is my first time opening it up, guys, but hopefully everything goes well. And so now it's 2 screws, not 1. My mistake there. And I will have a link in the description also to where I got this, where I got my controller from for my Panasonic Lumix G7 camera. And I did have trouble with getting it to work. That's why I have so many different remotes here. I thought they were the remotes themselves or something. At first I thought maybe the remote was broken, so I bought like another one. Thought that one was messed up, so I bought a wired one. That one didn't work, so then I thought my camera was messed up. But turns out I just had to update the firmware, I think, is what actually got it to start working for me. And I will do a video of that so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. and that'll be on another video shortly. Anyway, so I got it taken off, just one cover and another cover here. I'm just gonna pry this completely off of here. All it has is a little LED that's attached with the button and all that. And all I have to do is just kind of wiggle it out of the socket. There you go. And now we're in there. And you see right here, this is the button. I'll just see here that this is the button that you need to worry about. There we go. And you see there's connection solders right here and here that need to be actually fixed. You need to solder off of there so that way it'll indicate a press of a button, just like how this one does. So what we're going to do is solder a connection lead off of those connection points right there. You don't have to solder all 4 wires. All you need is the one top and one bottom. So we're going to get into that next, and I'm going to show you guys the whole part of that. And they're kind of small, so what I'm going to try to do, since my wire is so big, like thick wise, I may have to go with some more DuPont connectors, some thinner wire to just connect, because it doesn't need thick wire. All it is pressing a button. It doesn't really need thick wiring. So what I'm going to do is go get me some more of these connector wires here that I've been using, and then I'm going to start soldering using my soldering station that I showed, and actually get this all set up here. Okay guys, I'm back here, and I got my soldering station heating up at the moment. So it'll be fully heated momentarily, and I have some soldering wire. It has already rosin core in it, so that's basically, it helps actually stick solder to stuff basically. And I got this from a long time ago. I had a project that I was working on. I'm still working on it. I'm waiting for some other stuff to go on before I finish it, and you'll know what I mean later. But this is actually a ribbon cable that I've got from offline, and you see the wires are actually kind of thin, but they'll be thin enough and have enough wiring that I can actually solder to the push button switch on here. I'll put this down, move this over here. So I'm going to just use 2 pieces of this, I'll just go ahead and use the white and the black here. Sorry about that. And all I have to do is clip back the wire, split it back some, and I could just keep pulling it off. So I have I think that's black and white. So I'm going to just pull those back just far enough so where they can come out of the board's housing here, because you could keep the housing. We'll just cut a little hole out just to have the wire come out of there. So that shouldn't be an issue. So you can still use the push button later on in life. You don't actually have to worry about that happening. Alright guys, like I was saying a second ago, I pulled back this wire long enough, and we're just going to go ahead and clip it right here. That should be long enough for us just to use what we want. I have these clippers too. I have a bunch of different wire cutters and strippers, so you have to bear with me on that, you guys. You could use whatever you have available to you. You don't have to get all these things that I have here. I just acquire them over time. Anyway, I did want to test out one thing with you guys so you guys could see what I'm talking about. So the board here actually can show you, I can actually show you how to get the button to press with just using 2 wires. So we're just going to plug in the battery that came with the controller here. because it will sit in place. And then we'll just use these wire connectors here, these jumper wires. They have little metal prongs that come out. They're really thin, so we can actually just touch the two ends there. And what I'm going to do actually is try to get these to stay together here, or I could just use one single wire, I think. Matter of fact, here's what I'll do. I'll use a female to female, push those two together, so that way it'd be kind of like one wire, because that's what you're doing, you're closing the circuit. So now we have just one complete wire here, and we're just using the two ends of that one wire to indicate a button press. And this LED light is green, it'll indicate being pressed down. So here we go. We'll just touch one tip, and hopefully you guys can see that. I'm going to move this over so you guys can see my mistake there. So all we have to do is touch the top connector, top solder joint, and the top bottom solder joint, and then you'll be able to see a button press. So let me just do that. And there goes the LED right there. So just touch and touch. And you've seen the light came on, but on the other side, hopefully I could get this in here. You see that it indicated a button press there. There it goes, turn green. So pressing down on the button will turn green. So the other side is actually for the green side basically is what you're going to want, because that's indicating of the press down, and that's what you want, is the press down. See, when you press down on it, it's green, and that'll indicate wanting to record or stop recording. The red one, I'm not exactly sure why it turned red, but the green one's what you want, so we just need to solder off the sides there. So now that we got that out of the way, I just wanted to demonstrate that to you guys. So if you felt like you were maybe soldering the wrong connectors, that's how you test it to see. Just use the battery and do what I just did. Use a regular single wire, connect the two joints together to close the circuit, and then you'll see that you'll have a button press there. So now what I'm doing is stripping this wire back a little bit, so that way I can actually cut it open and get to the single bare wire. I'm going to strip that back as best I can, and there you have it. Goes 1 and 2. Okay, and now all we have to do is twist the wires on the ends. They don't have to be super long. You just want to get them to connect to your board here. I'm going to try to get all that in one shot. And I have my soldering gun already preheated, so that's good. Let me just move some stuff out of the way so I can get to the wire and move around. And we're using Rosin core. I got this from Lowe's. I have some other soldering wire, but it doesn't have Rosin core in it, and I want to make sure it does. So we're going to just get some of that off of there. Be careful with all the fumes. It's harmful for you. So I'm gonna just get really close in on here. Usually you could be able to solder from the back of the board because there'll be pinouts, but this one actually doesn't have it because it has the switches on here, which is fine. We could just solder off from the original solder that we have here. And just make sure when you do solder off that you're not getting on any of the you want to make sure that you're not getting on any of those lines that connect the board to stuff, because just in case it melts through and actually attaches to that part, it could fry your circuit. So you just be very, very careful when you're soldering. So I'm just adding a little rosin quartz to this, and it's working out pretty well, I would say. Just got to keep adding it here. Okay, and now that I added some, I'm going to add a little to my end of my wires here. Just so they'll have something to, some solder to stick to. Okay, and let's go ahead and add our wire to our board here. And you can use the arm. I do have one, I'm just not using it right now. The soldering hand helper basically is, I forget exactly what the name was, but you can use one if you want. It's completely up to you. This one has too much solder. I may have to take that back a little bit. There we go, soldered down. And if you feel like you may have touched, other parts or components, just cut it away. You don't actually have to have it on there if you don't want to. You could be gentle, but you could use like a flathead screwdriver, for instance. I'm just gonna kind of cut back on this here. And see if I can use my soldering iron to help get that off of there also. And there you go. Just scrape off of it, that's all. And now we just have to solder onto that lead. This is going to be the tricky part. That's why I use arms, but I'm not being lazy, I just don't want to go grab it at the moment. I'll have to go mess with everything, and it's not that necessary, basically, right now. Now, if it was you and you feel like you may mess up, then yes, by all means, use your arm. I need some more wire, soldering wire. More solder. The more solder, the more better. So come on, that's not always the case. Working with limited area here. Okay, let me just try to push down here, get that wire to be soldered correctly. And bend it if you have to. I mean, it is a wire, so you don't have to, you control the wire, don't let it control you. Okay, and we just push that right there. Bend it a little bit. Bend it down a little bit. Okay. And it seems really close. I'm trying not to touch everything here. All right. And that should do it. Soldering is super simple, and it actually is really quick too. It actually will heat up, and you don't have to worry about waiting for it to harden back up, basically, if you never actually soldered before, you know. But just to double check to make sure it works, we can strip this wire back a little bit, because we're going to have to anyway. But I'm going to strip this back here and strip this part back a little bit. There it goes. Okay, so now we could test it out. We're going to put a battery back in, our battery back in here. And then now you see right here the solder joints. And the two leads are going right here. And I'm going to twist these in here just to make sure they don't get untangled from each other. Okay, now all I gotta do is just press those together, and it should indicate a button press, just like I mentioned the last time. And let's see here. Give me one moment while I do that. And there you have it. See, the light comes on, it's pressing the button. Okay, so we have that set up. Now, let's take the battery back out. We can get it actually enclosed in our housing again. So how we're going to do that is I'm going to place it back in here like it should be, and I'm going to see exactly where our wire is coming out at, and I'm just going to cut it right where the wire is supposed to be coming out from. And I don't want to worry about the wires being pulled on anything, so what I'm going to do is just bend this back around and then come back in here. Just like that. You see how I have it bent? Because I don't want these solder joints to be messed with, because say I move around and stuff, I just want to make sure that this solder joint isn't going to be affected by anything. So I'm just going to have it out the top here. Drop that right into place if I can. And there it goes. Now we can note where the wire is coming out from. And it's coming out right here. So what I'm going to do is just kind of mark it, or actually what I could do is just probably clip it already. I'm just going to go ahead and put a little mark, and then I'll clip those off. Because you can use a cutter, a knife, whatever you have. And basically what I'm saying is you're going to want to cut a little piece of the plastic off, so that way your wire will have somewhere to come out from. So I'm just going to clip that right there with these cutters, and then all I have to do is break this piece off, and there you go. And you can kind of see that I broke off a little piece of the plastic here. All I have to do now is put this all back together and make sure that the slider right here is connected to the switch on here. Don't force it in. You want to make sure that it's going in there properly. There we go, hold on. See, it's meant to fit in there, so you just make sure you're putting it in there properly. Okay, and now we're going to cover this over with our cap here. Just like that. And then we're going to get our screws back in. Use the screwdriver you're using to get them out with. And the screws will help actually push the two pieces back together perfectly, so you won't have to worry about that either. And it'll line up correctly once all the screws are in. That'll help keep everything sandwiched together. Okay, it's in there tight and it's not moving. You can still press the button, still flick your switches. Yep, it has 1, 2, and 3, still being able to move. And we go ahead and put our battery back in. And we can see that without touching these leads here, we can still press the button. You see it still works. I'm not sure if pressing it all the way down equals red and that's supposed to indicate. So we may have to go back and solder on the other side. Not 100% sure yet. Let's just double check. I think that's for focusing. So I may have to go back in there and solder. So give me a sec while I do that. It's the same process, we're just going on the other side. Alright everybody, I finally got it set up. I kept the other two solder joints on here just so basically I noticed that this side I guess is autofocus because it's not pressed all the way down, and this will be actual press down of the shutter button on the other side. So basically autofocus will be the green light, which I could just touch these two wires right here that you could see it. That'll be green. Let me just put this up against it so you guys can see it better. And then the shutter button is actually a red light. So now that we got that done, now I could finally put it all together here. I'm sorry about all that. It took a little time because of the antenna was kind of in my way. You can see there, it was kind of a narrow spot for me to try to solder at. So if you're not good at soldering, I would just say if you can, solder the best you can on here. There's no big trick to it. You just have to be very patient. Just make sure you put solder on your joints first there. And I'm still going to try to have both the wires coming out of this one out port that I've cut into. I don't want to have two different spots, I just want one. So what I'm going to do is kind of twist it into set itself right there. I mean, even if I have to cut down a little bit more into it, I just don't want to make any more holes into my thing here. So let me just cut a little more of this off. Just to make sure that both of them can fit. Okay, got that. Now we'll go ahead and add our camera here, shutter button. And make sure that you're not blocking the actual button itself with your wiring, because then you won't be able to actually press the button down because you blocked it with your wire. Okay, and I think that's it. It's mostly in there correctly. Okay, yeah, that should do it. As long as we can press that button down. Now we just have to put this cover back on like we did the first time. And this will help push it all together too, so that'll be good. We just get these screws in here. Get that screwdriver. Alright everyone, I am back here and I finally got it done. I put it together. It took me a second there. I had to put the screw back in, and then I put the battery and the cover back on over here, and I hooked it up. This is how you hook up your connector. It's not the top one, but the last two. So if you're going from top to bottom, you're gonna do 2 and 3, not the first port, but the second and third port to mount your wires into. So let's go ahead and do a demonstration here. I'm just gonna move this out of the way so you guys can see everything. And what I'm gonna do actually is kind of lift this up so you guys can see Alexa and everything. It's gotta be gentle, you don't wanna mess anything up. And you'll see Alexa's light flash also. Alexa, turn on relay 1. And you've seen the light come on, right? Maybe just turn it around here so you guys don't see that. Let's try that one more time here. Alexa, turn on relay 1. And there you have it. And that's how you would get it set up. Now, this wire, I actually went back into the code and did for relay 2 the same thing I did for relay 1 for the 1 second delay, but I actually changed it from 1 second to 3 seconds because I feel like that will be a long enough button press for your camera to actually autofocus on what you're trying to focus on. So basically, it's voice activated to control, and it'll be voice activated, it'll be voice activated to record and voice activated for it to autofocus for you. So you'll have to, like I said, if you're going from top to bottom, the second and third port on each relay is the connectors you want to do. So I'm just going to pull these back here. And then I'm going to actually push a wire, let me see. I just want to open up the bottom port there because since it was closed, you have to kind of press these open a little bit just so that way they'll work. There we go. Alright, so those are pushed in, and now I'm going to just connect the wiring. Do the first one, screw that in. You want to make sure it's tight, that it won't move or be pulled out of its place. And there we go, that's the last wire. Screw that down. Okay, and there you have it. So now we'll do your actual autofocus, which will be a green light on here. So now we'll say, Alexa, turn on relay 2. Hold on. Alexa, turn on relay 2. And you see that was long enough. It gave it 3 seconds. It hold the button down for about 3 seconds. And it was able to actually do it. I don't know why she's not responding.
Sorry,
right now.
something went wrong.
Alexa, turn on relay 2.
Relay 2 isn't responding.
That's not accurate. I mean, it did work. I don't know why she said it's not responding. Maybe I have to adjust the code here. I may not actually need this bottom delay. Or maybe 3 seconds is too long of a press. I mean, normally it wouldn't matter, but I'm going to put a 2-second delay because that did seem a little long, and I'm going to delete the last delay for 3 seconds on here. Let's see if that works. We'll just upload the sketch again, and you'll see it flash over here once it's done. But yes, with this remote going to be controlled by the Alexa app, stop listening, and the relay and this microprocessor that's connected to Wi-Fi, you'll be able to take this anywhere. And soon I will 3D print me an enclosure for all 3 of these components. Okay, now that it's almost done uploading, you'll start seeing that light flash there. Yeah, soon I will 3D print me a actual enclosure for all of these components, so I'll have one housing that will be able to connect to her just fine. Okay, and it's loading right now. Just at 64%, then I'll be at 90, then 100. It doesn't take too long. And there you have it. That is it. Now we'll just say, Alexa, turn on relay 2.
Okay.
There you go. So that fixed the problem, and so I didn't need that 1 second delay on the other code either, but I'll just leave it. I don't really care. That's not going to be an issue. So you can see that you can autofocus now, and you can set that as a skill basically also, and a group inside of the Alexa app. So I'm going to get into that next. Alexa, stop listening. And what's going to happen is you'll just say, Alexa, turn on relay 1, and that will be record mode.
Okay.
And then Alexa, turn on relay 2, and that will be autofocus mode.
Okay.
And we'll just say autofocus or start recording, and that'll be the trigger words basically for this setup. So now we're going to get into that. So give me a second while I get that set up for you guys. I'll be right back. Alright everybody, you can see that I have my smartphone on here. This is a Samsung Galaxy Note 5, but any smartphone would work. Yeah, this is my Note 5 here, and all you have to do is go to where your home is. You'll click on that little search bar there, that line bar at the corner. And then you're going to go down to Smart Home, and then you'll hit Groups. And I already created mine, but you can always create a group. Then you'll type in, we'll just go into one of mine that I already made. You'll type in the name of the group. So I have autofocus here, and that's on relay 2. And then once you're done typing in what you want and what relay it goes to, you could click more than one relay. Obviously you could do all of them if you like. And you just hit save down the bottom, and I'll just need relay 2 for that, so I'll hit save, and then it saves. And the same thing for video recording. The only bad thing about it so far that I see, which isn't a big deal, I just wish I didn't have to say it, you always have to say turn on and then say the name. So turn on autofocus, turn on video recording, and that's how the groups work. Now you can go into your coding and then just rename it something else through the code. Instead of having it say relay 4, you could say start recording or something like that. but you don't want to mess with the code too much. I don't want to really mess with the code too much. I'd rather just leave it the way it is, and this is perfectly fine for me. So I have video recording for my relay 1 and then autofocus for my relay 2. So then we just go back. Everything is completely saved, so you don't even need this right now. And I'll demonstrate that now for you. So now we would say, Alexa, turn on video recording. Hold on. Alexa, turn on video recording. And you've seen that the light came on and she noticed what I was trying to say. So I can do it again. Alexa, turn on video recording. And that's how it starts.
Okay.
And we'll do the autofocus one too. Alexa, turn on autofocus.
Okay.
And there you have it. Hope you guys liked the video. Please like, subscribe, let me know what you think. I know this was a pretty long, dragged out video here. I'm trying to make my videos shorter, but I'm still learning while I'm doing stuff with you guys. So I do apologize about that. I forgot to mention one thing. Depending on how you set your groups on your Alexa app, stop listening, Alexa. You want to actually make sure that you're setting it up right. So I was able to get it set up correctly for myself. This is just strictly for me, but I have it set for video, recording a video and wrapping it up. So whenever I want to start something, well, say like whenever I want to start her recording a video, all I have to do is say blah blah blah, start recording a video, and then she'll instantly know what that means, starts recording the video for me. And then if I say start wrapping it up, like I'll say, you know, her name, start wrapping it up, and then she'll pause or stop the video from recording completely. It'll just stop the video. So I do have that set up, and I'm going to show you that now. Alright everybody, now I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate the whole process here. So all I have to do is say, Alexa, start recording a video. And there you go. You see that it triggered. The video is recording. You can see my hand in the video over there in the corner on that screen over there. And now all I have to do is say, Alexa, start wrapping it up. And there you have it. She stopped the recording. Everything is done, and that's how it works. I hope you guys liked the video. Please like, subscribe, let me know what you think.